Sponsored by Jiffy Apps.
Welcome once again to the Business Expertise Show, and thank you for joining us on YouTube on our station. And I'm here today with Ricky Shetty. Always mispronounce his name, sorry. And he is the daddy blogger, and he's even got the book to prove it, so we'll get into some of that. And he also does a series of events called Why We Are Events, with blogger version and mastermind and foodie version. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get into it, Greg.
Sure.
So why did you start the whole daddy blogger?
Yeah, good question, Michael. First of all, thank you for having me on your show. The reason I started Daddy Blogger is because when I first became a dad, I didn't really see many resources geared especially to dads like us. I mean, there's a lot of mom resources, there's books and websites and blogs, but because I didn't really see anything just for dads, I started creating them. So I started doing the daily blog. I also launched wrote my book, which was published last Father's Day, about a year ago. And then the last thing I started was something called Why We Are Dads. And it's a community of local dads where we learn and grow and connect and be educated about all the issues that are important to us dads. So really I want to empower and inspire and support dads, and hopefully I'm doing that through my blog, my book, and my group.
Yeah. Well, I know I've been to a number of your events and everything, and they're very entertaining. And I kind of remember the process that you started with the book, because roles are reversed this time.
That's right.
I remember sitting in front of a camera with you once before, and you were interviewing me as a dad.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
So I actually, this is a book, by the way. This is called Wisdom from Daddies. And it's basically what I learned from interviewing 100 dads. And actually Michael's one of the dads I interviewed. And same with Earl Fulmato, who works here as well, Jiffy. So these are just two of the dads that I knew. I mean, I knew you at a personal level, and I remember that interview quite well. We were at Robson Square, and just did a quick interview about, the difference between raising boys and girls, and now you're in the book, and it became an Amazon bestseller, actually. And it's really helped me in terms of building my brand credibility, and just giving me, these kind of interview opportunities, getting me speaking positions, even being asked to have a trade show booth and speak at different trade shows and conferences. So the book is really a good brand builder. I highly recommend writing your own book. And an interview series is a good way to do it, right? So even these interviews you're doing, you could eventually turn them into a book, similar to what I did.
I very well could. So don't be surprised if you see sitting on Amazon in the next year or so all the really interesting and nuggets that entrepreneurs have come up with to help guide other entrepreneurs down the road to entrepreneur success and excellence. So that's what this is about. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wrote Wisdom from Daddies. You could almost write Wisdom from Entrepreneurs, and that would be a fascinating book for people to read.
It'd be a really good book. Because you never know who things are going to resonate with. Right? So you got the book going, and you have the blog going and everything. How did that translate into the events? How did that work out?
Yeah, good question, Michael. The reason I started the events is I'm very much a face-to-face, a handshake, an eye-to-eye kind of person. When you're writing a blog or a book, you're basically behind a computer screen, right? You're behind your computer or laptop or desktop, and you're basically typing away, and you're expressing what's in your mind or heart, and you're expressing it to the reader who's on the other side of their screen, right? So it's not really an in-person, and I'm really about the in-person connection, and I wanted to take everything I was doing online, offline, and that's one of my goals, is use the internet to get off the internet. So in terms of all my events, so I run Why We Are Dads, Why We Are Bloggers, Why We Are Foodies, and I recently launched Why We Are Masterminds. And the common element in all those groups is community. So we meet together around food, around education and networking for blogging, around masterminding, around parenting and fatherhood. And it's really education, networking, community building. And that's why I think it's worked so well, because that's been my focus, just how do I build community around people's passions.
And it seems you're doing it really well, because each one of the events, when you go to one of Ricky's events, is always a showcase business he doesn't just show up and have it show up in a conference center. It's held within a showcase business, and he has the owner or somebody representing that business always speak.
Mhm.
So it's a really good formula. So how did you come up with that?
Yeah, that's another good question. I mean, it's hard to find good event space, venues, right? So I try to be a little bit more creative. I look at like, basically, I need a space that can fit anywhere between 50 to 100 people, and I look for something out of the norm. Like, for example, we did it at the Hootsuite headquarters, we did it here, at Jiffy Software, we did one of our events here,
Right.
We've done it at the Waterfall Building, we've done it at Strut Studios, it's a video production studio, we've done it at an art gallery, we've done it at a car dealership, we've done it at a wellness center, and just recently we did it at Tinseltown in a coding academy, a school. And basically, the reason we do it at all these venues is, first of all, it's somewhat a variety. So it gives like a variety for the people attending, so not the same venue all the time.
Right.
And it's also good for the businesses because I bring in bloggers and social media savvy people to come into that venue and obviously see it for the first time, but also maybe social media share it or write blog posts about it. And like you said, creating exposure for that business, because I'm really about supporting, small businesses. And I love event planning, right? So I think it just, from an event planning standpoint, it really gives me kind of like this satisfaction when I see an empty venue and then I see the completed event. I'm just like, whew.
Yeah.
This is kind of like what I wanted. It's not perfect, but and then obviously we have the pictures, the videos to just remember that event, right?
Correct.
And yeah, I mean, a lot of those venues, the owner will, like you said, share a little bit about the business, the history, and the vision. And not only the business I run, but also the restaurants, right? So when I do at different restaurants, I choose different ethnic foods. So far, we've done it at an Indian place, and commercial, we did it at East is East, which is a Middle Eastern place.
Right.
We did it at 1789, which is like a Western place. The next one we're doing is at an Italian place called Codo. And again, it gives all the foodies, the food lovers, different taste of different types of food. So different ethnic food, and also we bring in different speakers about health and nutrition and blogging.
It gives the blogger, the food blogger, a chance to come out and experience different foods that they may not have been invited to.
Yeah, absolutely. And the foodies thing is for not just food bloggers. It's for anyone who loves to eat.
Yeah.
So you can just you don't have to be a blogger. I mean, obviously it's good to have bloggers because then they write about the restaurant, they do reviews. But it can be just anyone who lives in the city who wants to have a nice meal with other people.
Yeah, and there's also always a good mix of. It's like you always have like a door prize to the best tweeter or something like that, as well as just business card draw, which I'm sure that how's that the tweeting formula must work out really well for that particular shop or business owner, restaurant owner.
Yeah, and that's one of my strategies in terms of getting people to engage with each other and also just to engage on their social media, because it gives them incentive to tweet, to check in, to share on social media. So I try to get people to check in on Facebook or Foursquare. I try to get people to Instagram the food and also like tweet. And I usually have one of the requirements is for the people tweeting to follow the restaurant Twitter handle or the business Twitter handle, and also use the hashtag. So why we have bloggers or why we have foodies. Those are the hashtags I use. And it's also just a way of people to engage, not just listening to the person speaking, but also being actively engaged and potentially winning something. So like the last restaurant, we gave a $125 gift certificate. So the person who won, they're actually able to come back and eat $125 worth of food. So that's a pretty good gift. And then we also gave out the last one like a $1,000 certificate to attend the Karen McGregor's Rock the Stage program. So $1,000 value for a prize. So it's really incentivizing for people to tweet and to share on their social media.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's kind of funny you brought up Karen. She's also going to be one of our guests in one of the upcoming episodes. So give you something else to tune in and look for.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the thing is the guest speakers aren't just some thrown together. It's usually somebody who's fairly successful, which is pretty good. So it's like share content sort of thing. Is that what the idea was, or?
Yeah, I look for a variety of speakers, and another formula that works with what I'm doing is I have multiple speakers in one night. A lot of events you go to just one main speaker who speaks for like 40, 50 minutes, and that's a good formula, it works. But I like to have some diversity, so it's not just listening to one person, but it's getting a few different insights from different people around so there's still an umbrella theme, which is blogging, or which is food, right? So just talking about the blogging thing, so sometimes it might be about marketing your blog, monetizing your blog, getting more readers, getting yourself on the first page of Google. You know, like that's one of my passions is to help bloggers just to figure out how to build up their readership, how to market their blog, and how to monetize their blog. And by bringing in these experts, like social media experts, internet marketing experts, business experts, you really learn from the experts, and then it's up to you at the end of the day, right?
Right.
If you can implement them, then obviously you're going to be successful. If you just listen, it's not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah, that's the whole point. You actually heard from an expert blogger say that when you get the advice, implementation is key.
Yes.
And how many entrepreneurs do we know? No. I know best. So take the advice, use the advice. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite quotes is success loves speed. So you don't have to do it perfectly, but you don't have to do it quickly. So if I give some advice about blogging, if you act on that quickly, even though you don't know exactly how to do it perfectly, you're going to probably be more successful than the person who waits and waits and waits to get it all perfect, right?
Yeah.
So it's just about doing it quickly. And I think one of the keys of successful people, from what my research has shown, successful people are quick and implementing. They're action takers.
Yeah, it sounds like your formula fits in with our friends here at Jiffy.
Mm-hmm.
Get it out there the first time, and then we can go back and time again and keep improving it until you hit perfection.
Yeah.
Get it out there first.
Yeah. There's this whole term called MVP, the minimal viable product.
Right.
So what does the consumer need? Does it meet their needs and wants and desires? Get it out there. If the consumer likes your product, then start to perfect it, improve it, and build excellence.
Yes.
There's no point in creating a product no one uses it, and then basically waste all the time, effort, and energy to create something like a Jiffy app, right? So it's almost just like, and Jiffy is really good at doing this. They just like get it out there, and then they get feedback from the users, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's almost like the case with any kind of product. Get it out there. There's first an iPhone 3, then there's iPhone 3S, then there's a 4, then there's a 4S, now there's a 5 and a 5S. Then eventually there'll be a 6 and a 7 and an 8, right?
Yeah.
But they didn't start with let's wait until we create the perfect iPhone 10.
Yeah.
They start with, this is the minimal viable product. It's a good phone, and then let's work on improving the camera level, the camera quality, the battery life, etc. Right?
Yeah.
But really start with the MVP, the minimal viable product.
Yeah. So what's the ultimate goal for Ricky all this?
Good question. I always go to back my goal, for example, with the Daddy Blogger. The goal is to change the world one dad at a time. So I always go back to the core. Am I really helping dads? Am I helping bloggers? Am I helping foodies with what I'm doing? If I'm not, then I'm going to stop doing it. But I feel I am helping, like in terms of just building the community, building the education, building the network. So I feel I am being a valuable resource and a service to the needs of the clients, if you want to call them that, right? So whether it's the bloggers, or whether it's the foodies, or whether it's the dads, right? So ultimately, I'd like to keep doing that. Some of my short-term goals, for example, in 2014, I want to actually do a bigger conference. So right now, I'm doing a smaller, like 3-hour event, 2-hour event, once a month, and usually I run about 3 or 4 events a month. But my goal is kind of to bring in all these groups together into one mega conference. So just like the YBR Mega Conference, and I'm aiming to do that in like November of 2014, after the summer, after the back to school thing, right?
Yeah.
Before the Christmas time. So that's one, and I like to just put it out there, because if I don't make it public, I won't do it, right?
Hey, that's exactly it.
Yes.
You know what, and that's how we all get started. That's how this video blog got started. It's like, I got the idea, and it's like, okay, before I sleep on it, just start.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you're a perfect example of this, right? You're starting it with just 1 or 2 or 3 people, and who knows how it's going to look a year from now,
right?
It's always going to be better and better and better. You'll have better guests, and you'll be more confident as an interviewer. So I think it's really like, if you have an idea, get it into into application stage right away, get it into the implementation stage right away. Yeah. So same with the conference thing. So I mean, I already have kind of like expressed the intention out there to the universe and to yourself and to your viewers. And wait till you see November. There'll be a conference of some degree. It might just be a one-day conference, but there will definitely be a conference this year.
Yeah, you know, you take all of us combined, including I'm gonna mention a few of our other friends out there, and hopefully they'll watch this and then they'll be sitting in the chair also, like the Bosco Anthony's, the Errol Flamadas, the Leslie Michaels that are in town and everything. You combine all of us together and friends and contacts and everything. They're about 10,000 strong.
Or even more, yeah. I mean, each of these, like for example, the blogger network, like all these bloggers have huge networks, right? And the people you mentioned, like Bosco, has a huge network of like, not even 10,000, but tens of thousands almost.
Yeah.
And Earl as well, and Jason Francis, and all these guys, yeah. The key is to connect with influencers, people who make stuff happen, right? To get the stuff done, and who have a network as well, because there's a whole saying, right? Your network is your net worth.
That's exactly it. It's not so much the dollars that you got in your pocket as the people that you know.
Yeah, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
And I've really found with who you know, it's really they can help you get your vision accomplished. People like Earl, you know, he's one of the idea originators for my book. He had this idea once at the Remarkable Mama Project. He just told me, hey Ricky, you know, you're doing this whole blog thing, why didn't you actually do a book? And he was the guy, one of the dads I interviewed, and now I have the book, right? And I got to give him credit for that, for example. And Jason Francis, he let me hold an event here, right? You do an interview with me, right? So it's really about supporting people who have supported you. And even if they haven't supported you, support them first. Yes. And it will come back to you, like almost like a pay it forward thing.
Yeah. Because as you may know, I've had a history of fall into the background, and you guys were all very instrumental in making sure that, hey, now I'm in front of the camera instead of behind the camera.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's always good to be, even with event planning, I always realize it's actually better to be the speaker rather than the one organizing the event, because it's a lot easier just to show up the event, speak, and then take off. The event planning, the organizing, even like the video production, that's the hard work, right? But I mean, all those people who do the event planning, the editing, the video production, they're also important and vital. It's unfortunate that people who are in the spotlight or in front of the camera get usually the attention, but I really think it's a combined team effort. And if you even see things like the Oscars, the Grammys, the Super Bowl, it's a massive team that you never see, even movies, right? Movies, you see the Brad Pitts, the Denzel Washingtons, but you don't actually see like all these people doing the editing, the post-production, and I mean you do see it in the credits, but you don't actually see, they're not the ones that are well known, right?
The ones that do the hard work.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I asked this just about everybody so far, is like, what's that one nugget that you think that the viewers should actually know?
The one nugget, I think we've touched on already. So speed of implementation, that's something I'm really passionate about it. I am not the best planner or the strategizer in the world. And I almost need to work with strategizers, planners, and kind of like project managers, because they're kind of like the ones who are working like for a longer term vision. And that's one of my weaknesses, honestly. But I think I'm more the executor, I'm the implementer, I'm the action taker, right? Yeah. So I would say to the viewers, if that's your strength or your weakness, still take action and then work with, so delegate your weaknesses, that's what I would say. Like work on your strengths, improve your strengths, and keep building on your strengths, and then delegate the things you're not as good at.
That's excellent advice.
Thanks.
Yeah, I don't know how many people you run into they think that they have to do it all. It's they have to hold everything tight. Yeah. And not ever delegate. So.
Yeah, especially entrepreneurs,
Yes.
because entrepreneurs are generally self-employed, and we are the ones running all the hats. We're the president, we're the CEO, we're the marketing director, we're the financial officer, chief financial officer, we're the administrator, we're the secretary, and you know, if you can't afford to pay someone to do all those tasks, you can get interns, you can get volunteers, you can just build up almost a team where you share revenue splitting, right, profit sharing. So people do want to help you, and sometimes it's a barter, right? So like for example, like a website designer, right? So I could give them maybe exposure, marketing, advertising on my site in return for web design, right?
Right.
So I'm helping them with their marketing, they're helping them with web design. It's a win-win.
Yeah.
So, and I'm really about that win-win-win. It's like, and I always look at how can I help them first, how can I help their vision, and then automatically, like, I scratch your back, you want to scratch mine, right?
Exactly, right? Yeah, exactly. So, how do we find the events? How do we get the book?
Yeah.
So, where is Ricky, and how do we get a hold of him?
I'm pretty much everywhere on the internet. I'm flooded the internet. If you look up Ricky Shetty on Google, you'll find pages and pages, everything with I have a few different websites I run, all my social media. But the core of what I'm doing is the daddyblogger.com. If you want to find me and really get to know me on a personal level, I'm really one of these transparent people. I'm sharing about my wife and my two lovely kids, which I didn't really get to talk too much. But my biggest passion in life is really about spending time with family. And the reason I do all these businesses is that I can provide financially for my family, but I've chosen a route with entrepreneurship, so I don't have to be a 9-to-5 working dad.
Right.
That I can just be hanging out with the kids in the day, right? And then and in the evenings I'll do a little bit more of the events and the networking. But that's been such an instrumental decision I made, because I really get to see the core key milestones in my kids' lives. Like my daughter, I saw her everything from the hospital, growing up, and now she's 2 years old, and I'm doing the same thing with my son Ryan, right? And I want to do that with other dads. I want to empower them to spend more time with the kids, and I think that's really important. The role of a father in the identity formation of kids. So in terms of just finding me online, check me out at daddyblogger.com. In terms of my events, there's YVRbloggers.com, there's YVRdads.com, there's YVRfoodies.com, there's also YVRmasterminds.com, and on social media, if you just search Ricky Shetty or Daddy Blogger, you'll find me as well. And I really thank you for the opportunity, and it's been an honor.
Yeah. Hey, it's been nice having you, and it's like I feel the honor is all mine for you actually wanting to do the show.
Thanks, Michael.
It's been awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And thank you for watching the Business Expert Show. And we would like to ask you at this time, please click the subscribe button or send us your email address. We would love to send you more shows, more advice, and help you grow your business.